What's up? This is JuJuan Buford, founder and CEO of JSB Business Solutions Group and co-founder of Next Op Social. And what I want to talk about today is a conversation I had with one of my sales team members approximately 2-3 days ago, and I was kind of triggered by it. It's been on my mind for quite some time now, and I just scribbled down a couple notes on a napkin. Yes, this is going to be literally a recording from a napkin today, but when the spirit moves me, I have to do it right then and there. So here's the thing, the conversation we had basically revolved around the ideal of sales. And what he said to me was, JuJuan, you're so good at sales. I don't think I'll ever be able to be as effective as you. Or how's it you're waking up every single day on 10? Basically, marketing, services, and products kind of revolve around the same mission and purpose. And that's going to be very important here in a minute. For all these years, and you haven't had any loss of enthusiasm. And one of the first things that I would share with anyone who's in sales, or more specifically, if you are leading a sales team, so you're a director, sales manager, recruiter, whatever the case may be, I think their tips would be very useful. So the first thing is this: you got to create a vision. Your company exists for something other than simply making a profit. That's important. Capital is the lifeblood of your business, but your business exists for a reason. And you got to get real clear about your values and the reason why your business exists. You got to be really clear about your vision, right? They say that the people without vision will perish. Well, guess what? So will your business. And so attaching a clear-cut vision, a mission, if you will, is what will allow your sales team to continue to perform and allow you to perform at a high level over an extended period of time. Because typically what ends up happening in sales, particularly if someone has success right out the gate. So you have a good onboarding program, you have a good product or service, they've been trained and taught about how to prospect properly. And if these things are in place, they'll have success right out the gate. And particularly if your compensation plan is competitive, they'll definitely go out and crush it right out the gate. But what ends up happening over the course of time is you begin to see a wane in productivity. And that wane is because once a salesperson earns a certain amount of money, they start satisfying their creature comforts, right? Or the reasons why they joined your sales organization. So whether it was to have extra money to put a child through school, upgrade where they live, acquire a new vehicle, eat better food, take better vacation, whatever the case may be, what you'll find is that individuals will begin to kind of hit cruise control, right? So a little bit beyond creature comforts, but you get the gist of it. And 9 times out of 10 is because their excitement and enthusiasm for what they're doing starts to wane. And so you have to have ways or tools, meetings, you have to utilize strategies to keep that vision clear in front of them at all times and make the mission plain, right? For me, anyone who knows me, I believe entrepreneurship is empowerment. One of the objectives that I set approximately 4 or 5 months ago was to help over 10,000 entrepreneurs transition from W-2 to 1099, and more importantly, not just simply make the transition, but scale, right? Build their business to the point where they grow from a team of me to a team of we, so they have more stability. So when an inevitable quote unquote pandemic occurs, right, and there's always going to be some type of financial distress taking place, or quite frankly, so they can be employers. So they can literally change the fabric of their, not only their kitchen table, but also their neighborhood and their communities, right? My thinking is if we can help 10,000 business owners level up, become employers, meaning people who are in their vicinity or in their proximity become gainfully employed. If we can help those individuals build businesses that scale and grow, which means they're also creating revenues, creating profits, and those monies are being spent in the communities in which they exist, that's going to level up the community. My thinking is helping out 10,000 business owners will help out 100,000 people. What if you all of a sudden took 100,000 people in any given community or city or state, and all of a sudden they became exceptionally well off. They became productive, profitable, meaning insolvent, right? They were able to take care of their families and have control and agency in what happens in their communities. What would the impact be, right? That's a mission, that's a vision that I've painted for myself and also for individuals whom I work with, right? For that to be the end goal. And that's a mission and vision someone can get behind. Even after they've generated enough revenue or profit to satisfy their personal needs, now they can become focused on not just having an apple tree to feed their family, but to grow an apple orchard to feed the community and people around them, right? So vision is very important. The other thing that I encourage people to do is become a product of the product, right? As an investment advisor, I invested in the market. I believe in insurance because I saw what happens to people when they didn't have insurance, and I believe in a certain type of insurance that would give you some safety from issues that transpire other than death, such as disability, which I observed, and also financial distress, which I endured during 2008. If it wasn't for the investments I made previous to 2008, I've been wiped out like a lot of other business owners. You know, just like you heard recently today, 40% that is, of business owners who closed during the pandemic, they say will never open again. Well, those same situations transpired in 2008. And I felt very fortunate that I did make some smart financial decisions where I was able to continue on and, matter of fact, grow and kind of like rocket out of that situation in 2008 that occurred, right? So you want to build conviction in your product or service. The bottom line is the best insurance agents believe in insurance. The best car salespersons believe in their vehicle. They get excited about vehicles. There's a book called, there's a number of books I can think of. But oftentimes I'm talking to people about books by John C. Maxwell, Jack Canfield, just read a book, Atomic Habits, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Love that book by Maxwell in particular. Today Matters. I share those books a lot with individuals, and you'd be surprised how many individuals whom I will have a conversation with, and after 5 minutes later, I will literally watch them go through their phone and order from Amazon, because I can speak to the impact those books and those authors in particular have made in my life. And when I speak to it, I speak with conviction, right? It's the same thing with your product or service. Use it so you can have the conviction, so you can have the belief. So whatever skepticism the other person may have across the table from you, that skepticism melts away just in the face of your conviction. Because remember, once again, all sales is a transference of belief and conviction. So you need to be sold out on what it is that you do, right? It also inoculates you. You know, the bottom line is people join fitness programs all the time. Top of the year, gyms are full. 3 months later, the gyms are empty. Why? Because people don't want to do the work, okay? People acquire products and services all the time and expect that magic pixie dust is going to fall from the sky and lightning is going to strike their enemies or their issues and their problems. No, it requires some input in order for any tool or service or product you acquire to be effective. Well, you're going to come across individuals who don't necessarily have the best, quote unquote, customer satisfaction or experience. And it's your conviction, your belief and understanding that your service does have value, right? And also, of course, notice I mentioned something early on, making sure that you're dealing with a prospect, meaning your ideal client, people who could benefit from your service, right? They're looking for you actually have a solution to the problem, and then, you know, they make blank decisions and they have the disposable income to pay for it. So anyway, I'm about to delve into another type of sales training, and I want to stay focused on this ideal belief and how you can increase sales. So make sure that everyone is utilizing the product or service, because number one, it drives down their depth of belief, which creates more conviction. So when they're communicating it, it comes across in such a way where the other person can't help but to be drawn in and begin to kind of see the picture they're painting because of the conviction they have and the belief. Once again, it inoculates. The other reason is it allows you to create success stories, right? They say facts tell, stories sell. Just the way our brain works. We forget facts very readily, but a good story, we'll remember that for the rest of our lives. Where you want to create success stories. I'm gonna wrap back around to this. And you want to be the success story, right? If you're using a product and service and you're getting good outcomes, you want to share the outcomes. That also prevents you from being in a situation where you oversell and underdeliver. What you do is you want to quote unquote undersell and overdeliver. So you tell the stories, things that have actually happened, right? And people can see themselves in that story. That builds their conviction, and then you don't have to worry about them having false expectations either, right? Because you're sharing stories, results of transpire from people actually utilizing your product service. So the next thing is, look, and this kind of goes back, I just kind of hinted at it. When you wake up in the morning, when you roll out of bed, when you have your first interaction, you have believers and non-believers, or quite frankly, people who just don't know what it is that you do. Maybe don't realize the value of what you provide. And there is a kind of conflict that can take place there, right? You're the person who has the belief, the other person does not have the belief or doesn't have the knowledge or know-how. And, you know, when you transfer belief and conviction, the person's actually adopting your beliefs and convictions. And that's why it needs to be so in-depth. That's why you need to really hunker down on this as a sales manager and director, and to make sure you have processes in place to remind people about the vision, mission, remind people about the value proposition, make sure you're collecting those success stories so they can share it with the world. Because everyone you meet typically isn't aware, particularly when you're first starting out as an entrepreneur, right, in your new endeavor. Majority of people you come across aren't even aware that you exist, right? Number one, you have to make them aware, but number two, you have to also be able to communicate that value proposition. And oftentimes, so many of us spend so much time on the sales skills, the tactics, the strategy. You want to know the perfect scripts. Well, look, none of those things matter if you don't have belief. Sales is not the tactics. Sales is not the script. Sales is not the strategy. That's not sales. Sales begins to transfer belief. The tactics and strategy are just designed to help a person more fluently, more comfortably articulate their belief and conviction. That's what it's designed to do. But if you don't have the first, the latter doesn't even matter, right? And then, of course, something I think about a lot, client services, quite frankly, gets defecated on a lot. People think client service, they think what? $10, $15 an hour employees, individuals who really don't matter. But that's not the truth. Client services is everything. It's your branding, it's your marketing. Client services colors your approach and how you prospect, how you advertise. Client services, in other words, what I would like to refer to instead of client services, it should be customer success. Customer success needs to color everything that you do, right? And people need to be aware of that. That builds belief. Because after the quote unquote product or service is sold, there needs to be some customer satisfaction. There needs to be some customer success follow-up. You need to make sure people are utilizing the services. A lot of individuals whom I work with, oftentimes they market a product or service, 2-3 months go by, they're afraid to call the person they market the product or service to because they're afraid of buyer's remorse. They're afraid of a lot of different things. Well, I don't follow up with individuals with that fear and anxiety. I follow up with the ideal. I've shared a service or product. I'm going to follow up with them because I want to collect the success stories, right? I've shared this conviction. I shared this belief. I communicate the value prop. I did the follow-up to make sure they understood how to utilize the service or product to acquire the results or obtain the results they're taking aim at. Now I'm going to follow up to collect the success story. And having that conversation, number one, cements the person in terms of the product or service they acquire because you had the professionalism and you valued them as something other than just a dollar or a buck or a customer invoice number, right? You followed up, so it shows that you care. People oftentimes don't really care how much you know until how much you care, so if you exhibited that. But once again, you collect, the success stories. And not only do you have success stories yourself, but you have success stories of other people. And you collect those stories because not everyone may be able to identify with you, right? Not everyone's able to identify with my background. But I can collect success stories of people with different backgrounds. So I'm sitting in front of a doctor, an attorney, a real estate agent, a cook or a chef, or somebody working as a hostess, right? If I can get those collective success stories, when I'm sitting down with individuals, I can mirror and match. That builds more belief in me, but it also allows me to communicate with more conviction to the individuals whom I'm sharing my product and services with, right? So this is like the quick, dirty version, the napkin, quote unquote, training. It was just igging me and I needed to get off my chest. Hopefully this serves you well. And look, as always, if this moved you, if you found this to be of benefit, actionable content, that's what I'm about here, make that, turn the like button a different color, right? Share, comment. I eat feedback like Skittles. I want to make sure that other people are aware that this content exists. I want to help more people to level up. I want to create those 10,000 success stories, right? And I need your help to do that. So yeah, turn the like button a different color, share, express your feedback, conversation, whatever the case may be. Goodbye for now, and I celebrate success in advance.